Welcome back to the channel. If you're new, please subscribe so you can probably guess what I've been at today. I'm making a rain cap for my chimney, and I mean they're $100 actually to buy, 80 to 100 bucks. So I had some sheet metal. So I figured I would attempt to make this myself. So I didn't film it because I didn't have a damn clue what I was going to do. It turned out okay. I just hope it fits. I did have this here made up for the bottom. It wasn't big enough. It been windy and raining and everything. I got a 7-inch chimney, but from being up there, I thought that I knew it was about 1/2 inch thickness, but it's not. And I tried looking up on the internet, and I couldn't find anything, but it's actually 11.5 inches in diameter. So I made this one for 8.5, thinking it was 1/2 inch on the side. So definitely was not going to fit outside or inside. I want it on the outside because what I have now, the old one that I had, this one, right? I mean, there's a piece that go on here and it fit into the chimney, but you know, at the beginning of the season and at the very end of the season, you don't have a fire in all the time, so the crease soot and everything builds up. And trying to get this out when it's inside, I find that I'm kind of shaking and moving, and it's not good, right? So I want it on the outside. So I figure if this is big enough, hopefully it's 11.5 I measured. So I give myself some, you know, I got to close this up, right? So I got 3-inch bolt here. So hopefully that gives me what I need. But if you're thinking about making this yourself, it's simple but time consuming. I don't have an English wheel. I don't have a lot of the tools that people would have for working with sheet metal. So, you know, it's not going to look pretty. But to make this cone shape, you figure out how much you need and how big of an umbrella sort of deal that you want over your chimney. So then you know, once you determine that, and because I thought that it was 9 inches or 8.5 inches or whatever it was, I made this to with a radius of 9 inches, I believe, right? So what I did was I got this stick, right? And whatever it is that you want as a diameter, you half it, so the radius. So if it comes out, say, 5 inches, I didn't have a compass that would go to that distance. So what I had to do was I put a nail in the end air. I measured from that right to the end. I cut it off to what I need, and then you would say this is your metal. You got your nail on the one end, right? And you would go in the center, right? And then you'd put your marker in, drill a hole and put a marker, and then you just use that, right? Pretty simple. You guys have done that for many things, I'm sure. So once you get your circle that you want, right? What I did was I kept this and put it in the same way as I drew the circle, and I put my grinder. So say you cut it off here for your say yours is there, right? I kept the nail in the center, and I moved this, but I kept the grinder right on the edge. And I would move the grinder as I moved, right, all the way around. You'd come back, you'd do it again. You kept doing it. And after a few passes, it's only sheet metal, right? You get your circle. It's probably jagged, so you put it on the grinder and smooth it out, right? So you got your circle then. Now, to get, you know, it's no good to have just a circle on a flat plane, because the rain don't run off. It don't, you know, give you the coverage you need. So what you do, you may be wondering, if maybe not, if you work with sheet metal. I don't, but this was my first attempt. Never seen it done before. So this is a circle, right? You put a cut, you see underneath there, it's overlapped. So you put a cut, like a nice, now what I made the mistake of using my shear, my air tool, and that leaves about, almost half an inch gap, so it cuts out a strip, right? Don't do that. Just get your shear, your, you know, what are they? Your metal, you know, your hand tools, right? And just put a split right from the center, right? And you'll probably have a little tiny hole here where you put your nail or your compass, right? Go from there anywhere, pick anywhere at all, and just cut a straight line right to the center, to the edge. And then what you do is you'll just pull one under the other, and you keep pulling it, and it will make a cone. The more you pull it and overlap it, the steeper your cone is going to be. And like I didn't, you know, I figured out what I thought I needed, not thinking, because I didn't know that you had to do this. I was like, how do I get this done, you know, once I cut the circle out? So this is what I found out, that, you know, trial and error, that it works. Just allow yourself a little more of a circle, because if the coverage is vital, you know, me, I didn't care if it was just hanging over the edge a little bit, an inch, two, didn't matter. But if you're, you know, if you're anal about it, cut a bigger circle, because when you overlap this, the more you overlap, the steeper the cone you're going to make, right? So bear that in mind. This thickness, I don't know, I could have MIG welded it, but it's faster. It looked like crap maybe, but it was going to be up on your roof looking at it anyway. Except for the crows and maybe a witch on a broomstick. But anyway, you got that done. Then you have the inside, right? Now, some people will cut a ring, you know, say an inch, 2-inch ring, a strip, and they'll make that into a circle, and they attach it with little brackets. So you got a kind of a circle inside of a circle. Hey, like this one, if it's still attached, right? But I mean, look at it, right? So I didn't need that. I take it off in the wintertime anyway, because I got a fire in constantly. It never goes out. So, but for these, what I did was I figured I needed the gap, you know, to let the smoke out from the round piece to the top. I wanted about 3 inches. I figured that was enough, right? So it turned out that this one, these are a little short because, like I said, I started out, made a mistake. It wasn't big enough. So everything was proportionate to the base. With that said, you know, assuming you don't make a mistake. So This air could have been a little longer, but I'll just tell you what I did and you can decide, right? It still gave me 2 inches. Even though this is a bigger piece, I had to redo it. It still gave me 2 inches, a little over 2 inches. So that's okay. I'm okay with that. But for those brackets, I cut a piece because I'm on a 1/2 inch bin because it makes it more sturdy. A 1/2 inch bin on each side. And you want about 1 inch and a half here. So 1.5 inches, 2 inch. So from here, I wanted to bend, because you're going to bend the lip so that you can manipulate the angles, so you got something to rivet to or weld, so that the round piece comes up to meet the top. Mine was 5 inches, so 5 inches by 2.5 inches, right? So I cut these. I cut 3 of them out. You can have as many as you want, but 3 worked out fine, I thought. And then you score your line on each side, 1/2 inch, put it in a vise, bend it. So you got these. And then what you have to do is, because all this will be one piece, right? It's bent, but it'll be same as this all the way through. Just cut from the top here down 1 inch. This flap here and this flap here is 1 inch. So I just scribed the line, bent it, or before I bent it, it was all one piece. I cut from here down 1 inch, cut here down 1 inch, here 1 inch, here 1 inch. And then I cut that little piece out. So that did that for all 3, right? So that's pretty simple. Then for this piece, I made 8 inches because I figured my plan was it's going to come down on the chimney about 4 inches, so that it would secure on the chimney, and then it gives me 4 inches above, and that'd be fine. So from here to there is 8 inches. So that's what I did. And then it's kind of, this is a little thicker. It's 20. This ear is 22 gauge. It's thicker than what you need. That's what I had, right? That's all the guy had when I bought it. So, but 22 gauge would have been 20 gauge would 24 gauge would have been better. It wouldn't last as long, but it'd be better. This is galvanized, but so you cut out your piece 8 inches or whatever you decide, right? And you would okay. I knew now I know the diameter of what I'm fitting this on my chimney. So say you got 10 inches. That's the outside to outside diameter, or yeah. So 10 inches. So then you just go pi r squared, 2 pi r, whatever it is, the formula. So you know exactly the circumference you need. So say it comes out to 28 inches. If you're doing this system where you bend the ends and you cut it short so that you can draw it in and tighten it so it don't blow away and all that. However way you decide to do yours, that's up to you. But if you're like the first one I made, if you're going to overlap, just allow that. So you want 2 inches probably of overlap. 1 inch is enough, but say you want 2 inch. So you put it together and overlap it, and you put your rivets in, right? I went with this system the second time around because I figured it would work better. So once you find that, you just cut it out. I used fire extinguisher. I used fire extinguisher. I had lying around. I didn't have anything bigger than that because it's very hard to actually bend this without a English wheel or whatever, without a slip roller, So that helped to, you kind of bend it around the fire extinguisher, and then it forms somewhat, of a circle. It takes a while. You got to, kind of hold it up like this, right? You kind of, this is say a straight piece, and you hold it up and you just kind of curl it around a bit, right? And then you come back and then you push down a little more, and you curl it around and keep at that. But I used the fire extinguisher and kind of rolled it on that a bit, and then you straighten it out a little bit, because obviously the fire extinguisher is a lot closer radius than what you're looking for. So, when you get the circle done, putting these things on, well, you'll figure that out. I just set the top down, put stuff underneath it to keep it from rolling around, and just kind of attach the pieces, supports, to this piece first, the bottom, and kind of just sat it on top so that it kind of found its own place, and marked it with a marker, right? Drilled the holes, put it back to match where it was, and then mark it through the hole. So on this piece, drilled it out, and Bob's your uncle. Or these days, he might be your aunt. But anyway, that's pretty simple. Well, it's not simple. It's more work than I thought. Looking back at it, if it works, I mean, you take joy in saving yourself some money, right? A few extra cases of beer, who knows? But that's how it is, and hopefully it fits. I cut it a little short. I am glad I went with this system, but I can't. You see the circle, the very outer circle is that's my chimney. And as you can see, it kind of manipulated. It might fit. I'm praying it does. Anyway, if it does, then I'm okay. I mean, it looks like, someone with the palsy put it together or whatever, but, it is what it is. Anyway, guys, I hope that, if you thought about, you got some sheet metal lying around, and you do depend on wood heat during the winter. If you think about making a rain cap yourself, save yourself $80. Give it a shot. If I can do it, you can do it. Please subscribe if you're new, and thanks again, and stay safe and have a good weekend.